How to do construction submittals. We all know what submittals are, but do we know how to do them well? This is a fundamental concept that I'm going to explain in this video right now. Submittals are a common tool in construction, but how do we leverage them to where they really benefit us and they're not used the wrong way? I'm going to take you through some steps that not only you can follow as a part of a checklist that I'm going to give you, but that will help you and also hopefully help you to not hate it as much, right? It's kind of monotonous. Let's make it as good of an experience as we possibly can. All right, so we're going to get right into the steps right now. We all know what submittals are. They are drawings, documents, mock-ups, or samples created by the contractor and presented to the designers to help demonstrate that their proposed plan and materials match the details and the specifications in the contract documents. Submittals are primarily driven as a requirement in the specifications. So here are some of the best practices when it comes to managing the process and creating and reviewing submittals. Number one, establish a submittal schedule. Develop a clear schedule, a detailed schedule for when you want to review and submit submittals. Now, this is typically called a submittal register. I highly recommend that you loop this into a broader log or schedule as a part of your overall procurement effort, which also includes the fabrication times, the delivery times, and any material inventory buffers, and manages the entire process together. All of these dates, meaning working from the required on job date to the material inventory buffer through the lead times and the review times and the submission times, all of these dates should be aligned to the schedule and to support the ideal flow of the trade partners on your project. 2. Use a standardized submittal form. Utilize the standard template so that the recipient, the design team, and the trade partners for that matter can get used to the consistency and include typical items like project name, number, date, and any other pertinent information. Number 3, make sure that the entire team understands the requirements. Clearly outline those requirements for your trade partners and make sure that they're clear on formatting, content, and any other supporting documents, and make sure they understand the project management system. This can also be clearly explained in the job information policy brochure or whatever information you send to trade partners to properly onboard them. Number 4, organize a submittal log. Maintain a comprehensive submittal log that tracks each item. Again, that can be its own submittal register or a larger part of the overall procurement log. Either way, make sure that it is a tool that you actually use, and if you use a project management software, that it is custom tailored to how you like to do it so that it is as frictionless and useful as possible. Number 5, assign responsibilities when managing and reviewing and submitting submittals. Clearly designate teams for creating and reviewing submittals and those who are to approve them. Ensure that that is clearly communicated and understood. Number 6, prioritize critical submittals. And this goes back to some advice I also gave with RFIs. Clearly communicate the urgency and the due date. One of my favorite things to do is on the procurement log or the submittal register or the submittal log, whatever you're using, or the schedule, is to level out the submission of submittals to the designers and make sure that that's done between the architectural scopes and the engineering scopes, meaning that we do not want to just batch and send over a bunch of submittals to the architect all at once. They can't do it. It's very difficult, and we don't really want to beat them over the head with a hammer and make them look bad in front of the owner. So what I like to do is have a really, really nice schedule, always in the form of a TAC plan when it comes to the master schedule. Understand that cadence and then understand when key submittals are needed and to level out that workload in favor of the designers so that they don't get it all at once. Number 7, a best practice is to standardize the review process. To create consistency, you will really want to get on the same page for the submission and approval process on your side before you send it to the designers and the designers themselves, and make sure that everybody's on the same page and that quality expectations are clearly communicated. Number 8, you will want to make sure that you have timely reviews. Now, this is a key thing. When I talk to project teams about doing a really good material procurement effort and to have a procurement log or to have procurement in the schedule. I always talk about our ability to recover if we go late or if something ends up being delayed. And what I mean by that is if you track the required on job date, the material inventory buffer, the lead time, the approval time, how long it takes to review, all the way back to the time when the trade partner actually creates the submittal, you will understand, or you will see in those systems, that if you know that something is behind, there are so many different things that we can do to recover that. Having timely reviews is one of those strategies, meaning that when the submittal is with the trade partner, you can focus their submission, meaning break out certain parts of that submittal from the overall submittal package. You can help them by providing information. Once the submittal gets to you, you can swarm that submittal, get extra help, and really prioritize it. When you send it to the designers, you can do it in a Bluebeam session. You can do a page flip. You can do it live with the designers there on the job site or at their office. There are a lot of things you can do to ensure timely reviews as a part of this overall process if any part of that supply chain is delayed and tracking late. Number 9, document review comments. Clearly provide review comments and feedback. And if you can, deal with that issue right then and there instead of not approving it and hitting it back into their court. If you can fix something and make that submittal whole right then and there, especially if it's critical, do it right then and there. But either way, make sure you properly document any comments and provide any actionable feedback. One thing that we don't want to do is design through submittals. If something literally changes the contract, literally changes the design, and really needs to be a part of a formal change order process or a pricing effort, or like I said, be very official as a part of the project documentation, right? Then you will want to make sure that those comments aren't just listed on the submittal and that we're doing design through submittal. You'll want to make sure that the important ones, the critical changes, are also documented as a part of an RFI or can come out as an ASI or as a bulletin or an addendum. Number 10, if the submittal is not approved or needs changes, please clearly communicate the changes that are required. Don't leave them guessing. Number 11, verify compliance. Make sure that that submittal complies with the specifications and complies with the contract documents. It is your job as the general contractor or your job as the trade partner to make sure that those submittals are in compliance, that we are not wasting the recipient's time. Review something that you know is not compliant. And one thing I'd like to ask, have I complied with all of your requirements to get you to subscribe to the channel? I really want to build a really good network here so that we're sharing information and communicating back and forth. All of our investment, all of our time, all of the money that we spend on these videos are here for you. So I would love it if we develop that relationship, and if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. So let me leave you with 4 key tips as we close out this topic. Number 1, get help when reviewing a scope. Everything has a pattern, right? Your concrete submittals will have a pattern. Your steel submittals will especially have a pattern. They all have patterns. And if you're new to reviewing submittals, you will want to learn that pattern. So hopefully your company has an internal training, or there will be subject matter experts where you can, with your first submittal, go and say, hey, I'm about to review this steel package, this steel submittal. I really want to understand the pattern. So I'm reviewing this the proper way. I'm going through the proper steps, and I can deliver a quality review to the designers to not only expedite the process, but also treat them like partners. Number 2, know when to swarm. If you get a submittal on your desk and you're a project engineer, an assistant project manager, or even a field engineer, and it is your assignment to go review that submittal, don't just assume that it goes at your pace. And don't just wait. Understand the urgency. And if it is urgent, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And I'm talking your colleagues, the people on the project site, maybe a little bit of help from the designers, even the estimating team if you have to. Know when to swarm. We can build this building as long as we get the materials here on time, and you are a part of the process of making that happen. Number 3, do not be afraid of parallel reviews. Everything is not just a finish to start. You can do parallel efforts and especially help your trade partners when they are creating the submittals. You can swarm the review of the submittal when it's in-house. You can put that submittal, like I said, on something like Bluebeam, like a Bluebeam session, and do a concurrent review with the designers, especially if you have multiple disciplines that need to review it. I highly recommend that. Don't stretch that out and take too much time. Make sure you're being as efficient as possible. And number 4, I'm going to say it again. Yes, this is repetitive. Do not design through submittals. That is so frustrating. Your trade partners signed up to build what's on the contract documents. Make sure that any major changes are documented properly. Make sure we are attempting to get the design documents completed as best as we can before we start construction, and that we are updating them properly as we go. One of the worst things that we can do is to start a project, have one basis, and then start to build something completely different through the submittal process. It's not the way it should work. Let's try and mitigate that as much as we possibly can. And so I'm going to leave you with a beautiful formatted guide in Canva that will explain this process, a checklist that you can follow so that you can win with the submittal process. The bottom line is this is a key process in construction, and you don't have to do it alone, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. There's a pattern to all of it. Partner with your team, ask for help, and know that you are a part of that critical flow path on the project, and don't take too much time. Make sure to shorten those durations through innovative thinking and through proper practice. Check it out in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.